I'm Amy McCoy, host of Let's Talk About It, where we talk about everything from real estate to business to politics. We're going to be able to have conversations with many professionals about day-to-day life and what we can expect from our political leaders. Not only that, but we're going to explore what you should be doing within your finances and how you can protect your civil rights in real estate. Join the conversation and let's talk about it. Greetings, everyone. I have a special guest with us today, and I'm so glad that you're able to join us. Help me join and welcome Ryan Waynett. And I hope I said that correctly.
Amy, German last names are never easy to tackle. Wyant, but I've heard a lot worse than that, so it's not a big deal.
You know, and I used to live in Germany, so you'd think I would be able to pick it up really quick, but nope, I'm sorry. I've been in the South too long, so you'll just have to excuse me, and I apologize.
All good. It's that DT at the end that throws everyone.
It throws everybody, I'm sure.
Well, hello. Happy Wednesday. Happy Pride, and thank you for the invitation to be here.
Thank you so much for being here. It was very important to get you on with us. And as our viewers, they don't know who you are. So let's go ahead, as I welcome you in, go ahead and tell us about the organization you're a part of and why you chose to be a part of it.
Yeah, sure. So like Amy said, my name is Ryan Wyant. I'm the proud CEO of the LGBTQ plus Real Estate Alliance, which is one of what we call the four families of real estate diverse segments. Our peer organizations are the Hispanic Association, the Asian Association, NAREB, which is the notoriously Black African American Association, and then the Alliance, which represents the LGBTQ community, I should say. And then obviously we act in the real estate and housing space. So we do a lot. We are a 501c6 organization, which is just like your national association or your local association of realtors, just like your chambers of commerce and your Rotary Club. We're a member-driven organization that focuses on building everything from professional acumen and professional development for our members to focusing on education and philanthropy and advocacy, which I think we're going to talk a little bit about on this session too. But those are our four, we call them pillars at the Alliance, our membership, our advocacy, our education, and our philanthropy. So we have grown aggressively since we launched, and I'm just looking down at the bottom of my monitor. We're just about at the 2-year mark of our birthday. I know, June 23rd, 2020 is our official date with the IRS of getting our nonprofit status. But the group started to really meet over Zoom calls right around June 9th. And that was in 2020. That was a result of the organization that occupied this space previously collapsing in a very, very messy fashion. Inman did a great job at covering all the juicy details, very Bravo TV. But as a result of the collapse of that organization, about 56 volunteer and staff leaders got together on a Zoom call. And keep in mind, this is right at the beginning of the pandemic. And we talked about what's next. We all felt very defeated and hurt and betrayed, frankly. But we knew that the 13 years that had been put into that other organization, the members built an energy that was too precious to let go. And representation for our community, the LGBTQ community in real estate, had to live on and continue to thrive. So we formalized, and it started off as a steering committee, and a mentor of mine, Fred Underwood, the former director of diversity for the National Association of Realtors, helped guide me on the process. And we met regularly, all 56 of us. And about 2 months into it, we had a foundation and a vision for where we wanted to go and what we wanted to do. And that started to materialize into actual documentation. So we wrote the bylaws. We figured out what the governance was going to look like. And on October 1st, 2020, we opened the doors, so to speak, to membership. Obviously, you understand, Amy, because you've done a lot. You're very active in the community, and you're a heck of a volunteer. You gotta get the house ready for the party, and that's what we spent the first few months doing. When we opened the doors, I think it was unprecedented, the reception that we got. Between October 1st and today, we've put on almost 2,500 members, which is, the Alliance is so proud of that. I'm so proud of that. I'm so grateful for all the time and energy that our volunteers put into it. And many of those folks stuck around, and they now hold elected leadership roles within the alliance, which is the way it should be. I govern the business of the organization. I manage the company, so to speak. The other side of the house, which shadows the business, is the membership side of the house. And there's a full thriving chapter program that is expansive of not just the United States, but actually Canada and Mexico now as well. So we've gone international with Latin America reaching out, asking us to go really deep south. I don't think we're there quite yet organizationally, but something to look forward to. And then we have national officers. We have national officers who are elected by a chapter delegate board, which is composed of chapter leaders from around the country. And those folks govern the membership program. Now, I think it's important to call out that just like the National Association of Realtors and many of the local associations, the president of our organization is a volunteer. It's someone who is elected on an annual basis and then rises to the rank of both president and chairman of the board of directors. So this individual is technically my boss for the period of time that they serve. And we work together very closely. In fact, the joke from our past president is that I spoke with him more than his husband did. So it's a very symbiotic relationship. But I really believe that it's necessary to have that balance to make sure that you're doing right by the people that are investing their dollars to being members of your organization. So the organization was truly built from a place of love and passion, with the hope of achieving transparency and maintaining integrity, preserving the dignity of all of our members, which I will go as far as saying it's new to this segment in real estate to have all of those things under one umbrella, and we're very proud of what we've accomplished.
Well, I'll tell you this, Ryan. You said a mouthful there, and that was amazing because to have someone to speak eloquently as you did about an organization, as you said, and I'm one of the founding members that joined on, and as someone who has come from the other organization, and I could not be more impressed with the way that the organization was. How it transitioned, the organizational structure that was put in place. Like, I'm very impressed on how quickly that was able to turn around, because everyone, like you said, had the same goal in mind, and being able to take everyone's, how do I want to say, the key things about them, the talents that they brought to the table, and you guys utilized that to make sure that the organization really gelled together in order to continue flowing through. And then the amount of members that we've been able to acquire so quickly in that transition it's amazing. And so with your leadership, because even though you have a boss, the wonderful thing is you have been a great asset to the organization. And so tell me, because as we dive in, I want my viewers to understand why it's truly important to know and to see why this is necessary, why these organizations exist. And to my viewers, you'll get to meet the other organizations as well, but it's Pride Month, right? I got my colors on. I'm ready to hang out with some friends this evening. That's right. It's all about the love. So tell us why it's important for this organization to exist.
Yeah, well, anyone that's watching us, that's part of the community, even the allies, I would say, understand what the LGBTQ community is up against right now in 2022 in America. And we've definitely had some major victories over the last 10 years. 2015 with the marriage equality ruling, and my dear friend Jim Obergefell having his victory, and then in 2020 with the Bostock ruling making it illegal to discriminate in the workplace on a federal level. Two huge wins, right? And both of those things have actually been very gainful for home ownership numbers in our community. We have evidence, empirical evidence, that shows that those two rulings have actually increased home ownership and home stability within the LGBTQ community. But, and there's the key word, in 2022 today in America, there are 29 states where it is still legal to discriminate against LGBTQ folks in many, many aspects of life. not to mention buying, selling, renting, conveying of real estate, seeking of shelter, and renting of property. So the Alliance exists for many reasons. I mentioned the 4 pillars earlier. Advocacy is one of our strongest reasons, one of our biggest whys right now. And we push very hard with the muscle that we have, and it's little, but we're working out. We're growing our membership. We are a very vocal advocate for the Equality Act. And this is a piece of legislation that has actually been circulating Congress since 1973, believe it or not. And this piece of legislation single-handedly would create protected class status for both gender identity and sexual orientation. On a federal level, those are not protected classes. So when I say that there's 29 states, that means that in 29 states, those states have done nothing on a state level to enact protections for orientation and identity. Meaning in any one of those 29 states, Amy, if the seller found out that my husband and I were a gay couple, they could terminate the purchase contract at closing with no penalty. Mm-hmm. Our lender in any of those 29 states could charge us 5% higher just for being gay without having to explain themselves to anyone. The injustice that exists against our community in America today is oftentimes unspoken. Folks, myself included, take that for granted, especially if you live in a notoriously progressive state. I can tell you that the fight is real and that there are a lot of people that are still fighting this on a daily basis in their daily lives all over the country. And the Alliance is here to make sure that we not only act as a sounding board to amplify what's going on, but we're working with organizations that have jurisdiction in housing, like the National Fair Housing Alliance and the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, to now investigate those claims and hopefully prosecute any alleged or found discrimination. Now, how does this work? Because I just got done saying that there's no federal protection. Well, about a week and a half after his inauguration, President Biden did sign an executive order which granted temporary protection to orientation and identity under the sex status of the Equal Rights Amendment. That translated over into the Fair Housing Act as well. So I like to say we have a very small Band-Aid on a very large dam, and we know what the expiration date of that Band-Aid is. So we have a lot of work to do, and we have a temporary period of time to get it done. We focus very heavily on advocacy. Education is huge too. Folks are out there and they are allies without even knowing what the word ally means. One of the missions of the Alliance is to provide education, not just to our members to enhance their professional experience, but to our community and to folks that support our community to understand what the experience is like for an LGBTQ, which, by the way, you can't be all of those letters at the same time. That's a whole other talking point. But what the LGBTQ plus experience, so to speak, could look like in any given situation. Now, we don't pretend to be able to come up with a scenario for every single walk of life, because one of the magic things about our community is that we are a true mirror to society at large. Every other minority and majority segment that exists in the general population exists within the LGBTQ population as well. So this is a whole other conversation and level of complexity, but it's always humbling for me as a cisgender white man living in a blue state in the North to be running and leading this organization. If I'm not learning something from my members every day, I'm not effective anymore, because my experience doesn't translate into the experience of a Black trans woman in Atlanta, right? For example. So we constantly try and keep education at the forefront of what we're doing. And that goes down to educating our members too, and advocating for our members to be allies to each other. Every letter in our acronym can be an ally to every other letter in our acronym. And as soon as we start acting like one community, we're going to get a heck of a lot further than all of these individual movements we've been trying to spearhead. So education's pivotal. Philanthropy is huge to us. Obviously, as a C6 organization, we're not here to do charitable work. We're here to prop up the charities that exist and enable them to reach further and do more by giving them more resources. And that's something that we take very seriously. We partner with the Trevor Project and the Cyndi Lauper Foundation, True Colors. We partner with PFLAG and so many LGBTQ centers across America. In fact, we are working on currently, and I don't even know if I should say this, we're working on a program focused on transgender housing in the city of Atlanta with the mayor's office as we speak, which we're very excited about. Obviously, we have a lot of amazing members and a board member that hail from Atlanta, Georgia. And it's one of our more successful chapter program footprints as well. So there's a lot of things in our purview. The question of what are y'all about? It's long-winded, but we do a lot, and we're very proud about that.
As you should be. Advocacy is a very tough challenge, right? Because we're learning to be resilient in the moment. And, with the culture that we are facing right now, the climate that we're having, depending on different political situations going on, we just saw on the news, I was just in Washington, D.C., and attending another conference. We had a pride parade going on. But when you turn on the news, you see that there is another demographic that's out there that's still holding on to that hate. And, how does that impact for our members? Tell me what your thoughts are towards that, and to make sure that with our members that we're feeling that safety, they're feeling that safety net there. What is it that the work that we're doing, the advocacy that we're doing can help influence the change despite the rhetoric that happens?
Yeah.
That's a loaded question.
A couple different talking points there. Well, first, I want to address kind of the here and now, right? I had a pretty real gut check this past weekend when I saw NPR send a tweet about the 30-some individuals in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho that got arrested, by the way, on the anniversary of the Pulse massacre.
Right.
And we think that they were going to storm the Pride Festival and definitely riot, but probably get violent. They were armed. They had riot gear and shields. You hate to speculate, right, on what it could have looked like. But then when you're remembering that anniversary, you also share in the fear you felt on that day for our community. The gut check came when my husband reminded me that a week before that, so 2 weekends ago, I was marching on the streets of Missoula, Montana, just about 150 miles south of Coeur d'Alene, celebrating Pride with the community in Missoula. And it got a whole lot more real for me, because those were conversations we had when I was out there, conversations I had with the local jurisdictions over security measures, what's been taken to protect the parade route, to protect the festival. And there are parts of this country that, unfortunately, and I hate to refer to it in geographic terms, but there are parts of this country that are less accepting than others. Now, there are certainly great people that are scattered within all of those more notorious hotbeds, right? But things like we saw in Coeur d'Alene, I'm afraid, are going to continue to happen. And it's up to us to be vigilant. Members of the community need to be vigilant. I certainly did not coin this phrase, but I believe in it. If you see something, say something. And I don't say that to create some kind of police state or paranoia or don't trust your neighbors. I don't believe in any of that. I do think that if you see something and it doesn't feel right in your gut, trust your gut. Your gut's probably right. And you should tell someone that has the authority to do something about that, or at least check in to make sure it is or is not legit. I think with about 300 pieces of legislation circulating in state houses across the country right now that are aimed at restricting the rights of LGBTQ folks, it is only emboldening, I will say, the crowd that the previous president created.
Yeah. And
with that reality now upon us, we do have to rethink how we're holding events. As a organization that has a robust chapter program, 2,500 members that are all social beings and love to get together in person, on a national level, we have to think about safety and security for all of our members.
Yeah.
I don't know what the answer to this question is. And you pose a good question. And frankly, this is the first time that I've been asked this in an interview. it's something that we need to pay attention to, because I can tell you when the pandemic started, we shut down the chapter program to protect and ensure everyone's safety from the pandemic.
Yeah.
We need a game plan in place to protect everyone's physical safety with the threat level increasing against our community. And I hate using the word hate. I think a lot of it's misplaced and can be solved with education, but
True.
let's call it what it is. With the amount of hate increasing and the vitriol that is constantly being spewed towards our community, there is an ongoing threat that I think is real and we do need to address. I would invite anyone that's out there watching that has ideas to be part of the solution to raise your hand.
And you know what? I don't even think I could really add anything extra to that, because that's all that we ask. I think with any community that anyone identifies with, there is a miseducation as to why they should get to know someone. I tell everyone, as a Black woman, and still living life, you come across as someone who, again, former drill sergeant here, so I have a very firm tone time to time, and can be considered the angry Black woman just with being direct. I do have a permanent scowl when I have to remind myself to smile, right?
Oh, you have a great smile, by the way.
Thank you. And so it's, having to make sure that I'm calming down so that I'm more receptive or receiving as someone who may not sure how to interact with me. There's that education there that maybe they just live in a community that has never seen a Black person, right? Or that community that has never had gay people in their community, or just not out gay people, right? So I think there is the miseducation is definitely key. But that also goes into what fair housing is all about, right? Having that inclusivity of a community, you get that. I mean, life is always ever happening. It's always evolving. So there's always new education of what's happening in the day, right? So having that inclusive community is very important. What are some things that you would you say, just over the next, let's say 3 things, right, that you would make a recommendation for just someone who's curious, whether they haven't come out yet or they are coming out, or just where can they feel like, I want to get involved?
What a great question. I wish I had the answer to this question when I was going through the coming out process. Every community is different, and everyone is at a different place in their own journey, right? Mm-hmm. For some of us, after we come out, we deal with what I would call an indoctrinated sense of homophobia that we have to get over in our own time, because for so long we were repressed and told that it's wrong, or there was no place in society to be a gay person. And so naturally you develop an adversity to that, which after you come out, now you're dealing with a whole other set of issues, which include internal homophobia sometimes. Yeah. Find a community that supports you. Find a community that you can be yourself regardless of titles, that you can live genuinely and have a conversation with someone who won't look at you funny or bat an eye if you refer to your partner, same sex or other, by who they are, right? That space is different for everyone. Maybe it is a community group that meets at a library. Maybe it's a group of friends that gets together at a gay bar. Maybe it is through a business channel like an LGBTQ chamber or Rotary or the Alliance. Mm-hmm. But I promise you that those groups exist, even if you haven't identified which one you should belong to yet. It's there. You just have to find it. That's sometimes the hardest part. And unfortunately, it's a little like dating. Sometimes you have to try different groups and see which one you mesh with the best.
Yeah.
Because as you know, it's not just our identity. It's not just our sexual orientation. It's a lot more complex than that. There are layers of intersectionality that come with every LGBTQ story. We are so much more than just part of that community. We have other identities that merge into that. And so when we're coming out, when we're going through that process, we're looking for multifaceted support, not just a hug and a pat on the back and saying, hey, it's cool, but someone that can relate, or people that can relate, people that we want to be with, that understand and appreciate. So it's a process. And like I said, that process looks different for everyone, but I would encourage people to find a place that they genuinely feel a sense of belonging, and work those connections.
Awesome. Now I hear we've got a big conference getting ready to come up.
Las Vegas.
Yay!
Yeah.
Well, love Vegas.
Fingers crossed. We had to cancel last year. It was, just a perfect storm of events. The conference was scheduled for the end of September last year, and then the Delta variant hit in August, and the risk was just too high. And a lot of people don't realize members, in fact, a good chunk of our membership have children, which is a great thing. It's a beautiful thing. But at that point in time, it was a risk to reward of, God forbid, you go to this event, you get it, you bring it home without knowing, you give it to your kids who in the South were still in school. Now I just created a super spreader event, even though we had a nursing staff that was going to be on, site doing temperatures. And what a relief this year to be able to plan a conference, a functional conference, with the hope that the worst is behind us. Now,
the hope is there.
Exactly.
They're all ready to get there.
There's some weird stuff going on in the world, and I think everyone's aware of it. Monkeypox, or WHO just changed the name today, which, by the way, is a whole other talk about discrimination. But I'm really hoping that we're going to be able to pull this thing off. We have a ton of folks that have already pre-registered. We opened early bird registration. The conference is at Resorts World in Las Vegas, brand new resort on the Strip. And it is the 28th, 29th, and 30th of September. We are really crafting it off of a TEDx conference. So it's going to be high impact, low time commitment sessions with a lot of insight. This is not going to be a brand commercial conference. I promise you that. We are not going to have folks that just get on stage and sell you on why you should be a part of their brand. That is a conversation I have personally had with various CEOs from different brands in the industry over the last 2 weeks. And everyone's excited to be able to get up there and offer something that everyone, hopefully 500 plus in the audience, is going to be able to take back with them and feel energy from and actually apply to their business. Our breakout sessions are going to be incredible. And then the entertainment aspect of it, dear friend, guy I'm lucky to know, Carson Kressley is our MC for this event. And he's with us actually for the next several years. We've got the phenomenal Christine W., who's going to be performing on our Friday night gala. And then I think what I'm most excited about, anyone out there who watches Pose on FX, Dominique Jackson is going to be with us giving the cultural keynote on Friday afternoon. So we've got some iconic LGBTQ folks that are going to be with us. We're nailing the business side of it, and we're hoping to energize everyone that comes out.
Well, amazing. I'm looking forward to it. I was looking forward to it last time, but yeah, the Delta variant right now, we have Omicron's going crazy, but I think we're all going to be back into a situation where we'll be able to be in place, because I'm looking forward to it. My father lives out there. I know he can't wait for me to come visit. And, but most importantly, I can't wait to party with the rest of the crew. So I want to thank you for your time. But before I let you go, because I wouldn't be the fair housing queen if I didn't ask you, what does fair housing mean to you?
I fundamentally believe at the depth of my being that housing is the American dream. If housing isn't the American dream, tell me what is. And I think every single person, regardless of citizenship status, orientation, identity, creed, race, religion, deserves the opportunity to pursue home ownership. That's not the case in America today. Now, I'm not saying everyone's entitled to home ownership. I think everyone's entitled to shelter and to a secure place to live. But home ownership is a responsibility, and the people that decide to go down that path should not only be encouraged, but assisted. I think fair housing in America is a day when anyone who wants to pursue home ownership has the ability to do so without barriers based on who they are.
Excellent question. Excellent answer. Not question, answer.
Excellent question.
Well, thank you. Well, Ryan, I really appreciate your time. This was very informative. I feel like our viewers will have a better understanding what the LGBTQ Real Estate Alliance is all about. Again, it has so many intersectionalities within it that you could really identify yourself, even if you are not a true member of the community, which that doesn't even make sense, because you can be an ally. And
22%
allyship
of our members, Amy, 22% of our members are straight allies.
There you go.
Yeah.
You can all be a part of it, and definitely be encouraged to get involved. Advocacy is only works if we as a community choose to be involved in it. That's the only way change is even possible. So Ryan, I guess I again want to thank you for your time and joining in for the show. I am just so thankful that everyone has been able to attend, and we look forward to our next show. Stay tuned, and we'll see y'all soon.